Bitcoin is digital capital. While the dollar remains the dollar, Bitcoin represents a new form of capital that countries, including the US, will eventually embrace. Just as nations have embraced tech giants like Google, Apple, Amazon, and the internet itself, they will also adopt digital capital. However, this doesn't mean it will replace the way they handle their traditional currencies like the dollar. When it comes to central banks, it is possible that smaller ones may eventually adopt Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. But before that happens, I believe we'll see corporations, institutional investors, and sovereign wealth funds leading the way in embracing Bitcoin. The shift towards digital capital is already underway, and these entities will be the first to recognize Bitcoin's value as part of their portfolios. Looking at the big picture, 10 years may seem like a short time, but in the context of history, it's enough for significant changes to unfold. Bitcoin is becoming a crucial part of the financial landscape, and over the next decade, we are really likely to see it play a central role in how institutions and even countries approach their financial strategies.
Bitcoin represents digital capital, a new form of wealth that's fundamentally different from traditional currencies like the dollar. While the dollar remains the dollar, Bitcoin is emerging as digital capital that countries, including the US, will eventually embrace. Just as nations have integrated tech giants like Google, Apple, Amazon, and the internet into their economies, they will also come to adopt Bitcoin and other forms of digital capital. However, this doesn't mean that Bitcoin will replace the way they manage their traditional currencies. The dollar will still play a crucial role, but Bitcoin will coexist alongside it as part of the evolving financial landscape. Central banks might be slower to adopt Bitcoin directly, but I do believe that in time we'll see smaller central banks beginning to hold Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. That being said, the first to embrace Bitcoin won't be central banks, it will be corporations, institutional investors, and sovereign wealth funds. These entities are already starting to recognize the value of Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, a store of value, and a key asset in a world that is increasingly shifting towards digital finance. This transition is already underway, and while 10 years may seem like a short period, in the grand scheme of things, it's enough time for significant changes to unfold. The adoption of Bitcoin by major institutions, and eventually smaller central banks, will be part of a broader trend where digital capital becomes a central element of the global financial system. Bitcoin is not just a speculative asset, it's becoming an integral part of how institutions and even nations think about wealth and reserve management in the digital age.
Subscribe our channel and press the bell button to get our video notification. And like the video.
If Bitcoin reaches $1 million per coin, it will be more valuable than gold, but it's important to put that in perspective. Gold, despite being a historically significant asset, remains a relatively small portion of wealthy individuals' portfolios worldwide. So even if Bitcoin achieves that level of success, it will still be in the early stages of its journey as a widely embraced form of digital capital. $1 million Bitcoin would signal significant progress in adoption, but just like gold, it would still be a relatively small part of the global financial system. Wealthy individuals and institutions may start to recognize Bitcoin's value, but there's a long road ahead before it becomes a truly dominant force in global finance. Even with such a high valuation, Bitcoin would still be at the beginning of its evolution. Its role as digital capital will continue to grow, but it's clear that we would still be early in the broader adoption cycle. Bitcoin has incredible potential, and while reaching $1 million would be a major milestone, there is still much more room for growth as it gains wider acceptance.
If Bitcoin reaches $1 million per coin, it will surpass gold in terms of value, but it's essential to understand what that means in the broader context. Gold, despite its historical significance and being a traditional store of value, remains a relatively minor asset in the portfolios of the world's wealthiest individuals. It doesn't dominate their investments or play a central role in their wealth management. So if Bitcoin were to achieve $1 million valuation, it would certainly mark a tremendous success and signify its acceptance as a form of digital capital. However, this milestone wouldn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin has fully integrated into the global financial system or replaced gold in a significant way. Instead, it would indicate that Bitcoin is beginning to establish itself as a serious asset class. Bitcoin would still be in the early stages of its adoption as a mainstream financial asset. The transition from being a niche investment to becoming a central component of financial portfolios would still be underway. Bitcoin's role as digital capital would be evolving, but we'd be far from seeing it become a predominant force in global finance. While $1 million Bitcoin would be a remarkable achievement and a sign of growing acceptance, it would still be a relatively early phase in Bitcoin AS journey. The asset would continue to grow in importance and acceptance, but there would still be substantial room for further adoption and integration into the financial system. The potential for Bitcoin is vast, and reaching such a valuation would just be one step in a longer process of its evolution and mainstream acceptance.
I view Bitcoin as both a technology and a form of digital capital. It represents a significant shift from analog to digital forms of value. As this transformation unfolds, every company, government, investor, and technologist will need to engage with Bitcoin at their own pace and according to their own strategies. Consider the impact of the internet over the past 30 years. It has revolutionized many aspects of life, including politics, the development of the European Union, changes in China and Russia, and various crises in South America have all been influenced by the internet. Despite its widespread adoption and the profound changes it has brought, we still see economic, political, and military conflicts around the world. The internet has spread globally and reshaped societies, but it hasn't eliminated conflict or resolved all issues. It continues to evolve and expand, just as Bitcoin will. As Bitcoin grows, it will increasingly become a part of the financial system, but its adoption and impact will develop gradually. Much like the internet, Bitcoin will spread and influence various aspects of society, yet it will coexist with ongoing challenges and conflicts.
I see Bitcoin as both a groundbreaking technology and a form of digital capital. It signifies a major shift from traditional, analog forms of value to digital ones. This transformation is not just a minor change, it's a fundamental shift that will impact every facet of the global economy. Companies, governments, investors, and technologists will need to interact with Bitcoin and adapt to this new digital form of capital at their own pace and according to their own strategies. To put this in perspective, think about the internet's role over the past 30 years. The internet has fundamentally changed the way we live and work. It has influenced political developments, such as the growth of the European Union, and has played a role in shaping political and social landscapes in China, Russia, and South America. Despite the profound impact of the internet, we still see ongoing economic, political, and military conflicts. The internet has spread to every corner of the globe, changing societies, but it hasn't solved all the world's problems. Bitcoin's journey will mirror this pattern. As Bitcoin continues to spread and gain acceptance, it will transform the financial landscape in significant ways. However, this process will be gradual. Bitcoin will become an integral part of the financial system, but its adoption will unfold over time. Just like the internet, Bitcoin will coexist with ongoing challenges and conflicts. Its influence will grow, but it won't eliminate existing issues. Instead, it will become a key component of a broader, evolving digital economy, contributing to the continued evolution of society and financial systems.
Subscribe our channel and press the bell button to get our video notification. And like the video.